So Gage starts the match and he's got a pizza cutter and he slices Jericho's arm immediately. And we got a spine buster from Gage, walls of Jericho spot. They go to the floor. It's not long before Nick Gage brings out light tubes. So Jericho grabs a bat and attacks Gage with it until Gage uses a choke breaker, has another pizza cutter, and slices Jericho's forehead. So they throw to picture-in-picture. TSN stays with the match. I kid you not. On TNT, they go from the pizza cutter spot to a Domino's ad.
Oh, that's amazing. I was wondering, yeah, because we didn't get picture-in-picture. But can you imagine, like, I'm imagining the people in the U.S., like, got to see a dude slice another man in the head with a pizza cutter as, like, stringy cheese Domino's was in the other photo.
You got a Domino's ad. I also saw there was a Jungle Cruise trailer, which, I mean, would have been great. Like, anything you're contrasting to. This was better than your double screens, I bet.
Oh, yeah, I'll bet. How do you feel like a Domino's would have felt?
Okay, we're going to have a lot of the same discussion at the end of this match. I'm curious your thoughts as well. So let's just go through this. He uses the pizza cutter on Jericho's forehead again, and then a guy at ringside brings out a glass pane from underneath the ring that is placed on two chairs as Jericho and Gage fight on the turnbuckle, and it ends with Jericho executing a Frankensteiner, sending Gage through the pane of glass on TNT. Gage recovers, he drops Jericho onto the broken glass, and now the light tubes get used. He breaks one over Jericho's back. He breaks one over Jericho's head. Then a pile driver onto the glass for a 2 count. Then Gage grabs the broken light tube and starts jabbing Jericho's forehead. Jericho comes back with the green mist to the face, takes a bundle of light tubes, nails Gage, Judas effect, place goes nuts as Jericho pins him in 13 minutes and 23 seconds. As I wrote tonight, I thought that opinions on this are going to be very divided because half the audience is going to say, hey, we got a authentic Nick Gage match, while the other half are going to be absolutely horrified because they got a Nick Gage authentic match. And I think this is all I have not looked at any feedback to people watching this match, but you brought in Nick Gage and they did not sanitize it. They did not compromise. Like, if you were someone that bought the Game Changer show on Saturday and came in with that level of expectation, I think you have to come away with, like, they delivered what they promised. But if there is this mythical line to cross, if this does not upset anyone, the network, sponsors, and I would have to think the network was enough on board with this, then I don't know if there is much of a line, because this is way beyond what anyone could have envisioned when Dynamite launched in 2019 of how far they could go with violence. This was the absolute furthest they've gone.
I have a feeling like good ratings will give
That's going to be amazing. Like, they are not just trying to get off the ground. Like, they are doing great numbers, and with that is going to come the leeway that, hey, these guys know what they're doing. But like, in another era, just people flipping through and seeing that stabbing motion to the forehead, the people would be outraged by it, and maybe that will be the case. But that's a trade-off you're going for by promoting this.
In terms of violence, I mean, this was like there, but I feel like Dynamite had already crossed that threshold in prior instances, maybe even as early as like the Britt Baker Thunder Rosa.
We've seen
match.
blood, but I do feel like there is a different level for people when it's like, here is broken glass and like a stabbing motion to someone's head as the blood is coming through.
Sure, okay. And like, for me in particular, I didn't even know the whole Domino's thing happened with like the pizza cutter. So I'm just kind of curious, if you are Domino's, would you want to have that direct association on picture at the same time?
Hey, and how about if you're Disney and this is the show that you used to promote Space Jam on? You know what I mean? Like, this is like quite the contrast that you get on this show. But I mean, this is not an outlier on AEW program. This is AEW's brand. They have established, like, these bloodbaths, like, they do very violent matches and have continued with them. So like, that is part of the brand. This was not them going outside their comfort zone. Like, this is the natural progression of these types of matches for AEW that are always going to need to escalate.
Yep, and it is 9 o'clock. You know, like the whatever rating the show is. Anthony wanted to correct you. It's actually Warner Brothers who owns Space Jam and not Disney.
All right. Well,
Before all the Disney people. But the point remains, it's a kids branded movie, and we're not here obviously being like, this stuff is really dangerous. It shouldn't.
no,
be
but
banned
I'm
on
just
TV.
saying, like, this is part of like
But these are questions.
these are the questions like the company has to decide as well. Like, is this? I have no doubt this is going to do a giant number for the company, and it's all in like we are selling this product, like we are selling this to sponsors, and does this land with them? Is this like does this work? Does this not? Fans, I think for the most part, are going to love this. That's great. But you're looking at different audiences as well of how they're going to take to this ultimately.
Yeah, if there is any fallout from this, I mean, it's another one of those kind of really strange, almost unpredictable things when it comes to producing TV versus, let's say, a Nick Gage match at a GCW event where you can really just do whatever you want, play Metallica like as much as you want. As far as the match goes, I definitely feel like Jericho came in here and was like, he probably watched the. I would think he watched the Zack Ryder match on Sunday. He probably saw a number of Nick Gage matches and thought, okay, what am I willing to take?
Of all weeks, like the bar is like that is fresh in everyone's mind. That was not just some under the radar match. A lot of people checked that out, and that was going to be the bar that he had to exceed. And I would think most people, Jericho went way further than people expected. And I would not have. I thought you have to do light tubes and you had to do a pizza cutter spot. I wasn't expecting glass. I mean,
it was Gage taking the glass, but I mean, he did take a move onto the glass. You're right.
I'm just saying glass in general being used in the match. Like
they've used glass, like it was like a Mox Omega match where I feel like that might have been worked glass. Remember, like the bag of glass. You know, they've done stuff like that. But Dynamite,
that was on pay-per-view though.
Yeah, true. So I'm sure Jericho was like thinking, okay, what am I willing to take, and what am I expected to take? What is this audience when they're being promoted when they're promoting a Nick Gage versus Chris Jericho match? If I don't take light tubes, if I don't take the pizza cutter spot, this audience is going to shit all over this match. So he came out here and he took all those spots. So credit to this guy at his age doing this match with Nick Gage on TV. And I think, like bleeding more than we've seen. Didn't need to do this.
Like they did not have to go in the Nick Gage direction. Like the second you announced Nick Gage last week, this is what your audience that is aware of Nick Gage is expecting. Yeah. They could have gone in any, dude, this Labor of Jericho thing, the sky's the limit of surprises, different matches, different styles. It was not the only destination you had to go. So, I mean, credit to them that they felt like this is a worthwhile way to go for this story.
Yeah. You had said that like this was an authentic Nick Gage match. And I think in-ring content-wise, I don't necessarily disagree. But I don't feel it was authentic because you did not have that same crowd atmosphere. And I always knew the crowd participation and that, in particular, that GCW audience meant a whole lot for a Nick Gage match. I didn't really know exactly how much until I saw this.
Well, wait a minute, you didn't see the entrance, so you don't even know.
Well, I mean, I saw the match, and that was the main thing. I'm assuming he did not come out to Metallica, John. Okay, so I don't think he would have had the same atmosphere.
Apparently, Justin Roberts did a hell of a intro for him.
Is that right?
You kind of got to replicate like MLJ to get the Nick Gage experience, but it sounded like Justin Roberts did. Like I saw like a lot of compliments towards like him doing the entrance for
cool.
Nick
Yeah,
Gage.
You're right. I'll probably have to go back, but like, there's nothing like a Nick Gage at a GCW show type of reaction. And maybe just coming off of that match on the weekend to this. It felt,
but in terms of the violence, like I think this was like this pretty much matched. Like I would think what the most optimistic viewer was that watched on Saturday went into tonight's show with. I think it had to exceed the over under on how far they would go in this match.
Yeah, it either matched it, maybe even slightly exceeded it for what I thought Chris Jericho was able to take, what they'd be able to present on Dynamite. But really, like, the crowd adds so much to this in a smaller packed environment. So it just gives me a different appreciation. And again, it's nothing on Cage. This is his first match in front of this crowd. As much as you and I and the people that listen to the show might have been excited by last week's announcement, maybe there's a majority of even AEW weekly watchers who aren't really familiar and not as excited, about it. So, do you think he returns it to AEW?
So what I honestly thought that at the end of this, like they had set it up pretty well, that I thought what would happen was Gage loses, it's a violent match, and then you have MJF like slap him or something, and Gage gets the big babyface spot laying out MJF at the end of the night or something. And that sets up the door for a return. They did not do that. And you've kind of left it. I like Nick Gage, I do not see him being someone that could be a weekly character. To me, he would be sort of that. And I think that this is worthwhile, kind of like that Roughhouse Fargo template of somebody that once a year you announce he's coming back, and it's a big deal because you know that he's different from everybody else. And I think you could do this like once a year, twice a year tops, that Nick Gage comes in for a big match. And
on a TV show or a pay-per-view, John?
I think it's I think tonight's number is going to tell a lot. Like if this is like they had the green light to do all of this and it's a big audience and there's no fallout, this could be a television event for AEW to do again.
Because my only issue is like, it makes sense for special attractions to be on pay-per-view, but AEW only has so many pay-per-view spots, and being on a pay-per-view isn't just the match, it's the build up to it, all the airtime that you're devoting to this person who you're not going to necessarily benefit from every single week if he's only going to be a partial attraction. So does that make sense for AEW? But if it's TV, then yeah, maybe it makes sense from time to time.
Like having Nick Gage just cut promos for a few weeks and then it leads to something like that. Like I think this match is going to do a really big number, Olympics or not. I think it's going to do very well. I think this whole show is going to do very well. And Gage is going to deserve credit for that if that figure is high. And it's going to be the most people that have ever seen Nick Gage. This is a total win for Game Changer Wrestling, who essentially got a 20-minute commercial. And at the end of it, I think that it's going to be based on, I think, just the reception to this match, and I could certainly see him coming back again, but nothing like this could also be treated as a one-off. They certainly didn't leave anything dangling for a follow-up.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to be a wrestler, and it's going to be a match style that is going to be incredibly polarizing. Some people who are interested will probably check out his next GCW match, and other people will stay far away from it. But that's what you get with this particular style. You either really, really love it or you really, really hate it.
And then he can do the podcast with Jericho as they go through this.
That's what I look forward to. It's the podcast. Yeah.